Turn now, our celebration of Pride Month here at ABC. And our next guest is a journalist, ESPN commentator, writer who set out to start a podcast that explored the lived experiences of people in the LGBTQ plus community.
Yes, I love that. All right, here to tell us more about it is the host himself of the ABC News podcast, Life Out Loud with LZ Granderson. Welcome, LZ. Great to have you here with us. So tell us all about your podcast. Why'd you start it? What do you hope it does?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you both for having me on. Really excited to talk about this and share this incredible project. And I'm saying it's incredible because it isn't just about me. The Pride Employee Resource Group at ABC, so many people have volunteered to make this thing happen because we know these stories are important. You know, during the last 4+ years of the Trump administration, one of the most underreported stories was about how the administration was systematically dismantling rights for LGBTQ people, and how little coverage was able to penetrate through all the other news in order to report on what was happening to my community. And so I wanted to start this podcast to make sure there was always a place for these stories to be housed, particularly with the major news network.
And you talk about the living out loud, and life out loud means living without apology. What do you mean by that, LZ?
I mean, being able, TJ, to go to the store, buy some flowers, and when the cashier says she's going to love those, me correcting her in terms of pronouns without feeling shame or fear. Me just naturally just sort of saying, they actually are for my husband, not my wife, and not being concerned. And while that may sound, like something that's quite innocuous, the reality is that LGBTQ people are constantly coming out in these scenarios. And so by living life out loud, it's about confronting these scenarios in such a way in which you don't have to navigate through shame and fear, but rather there's a comfort there because you are comfortable in your own skin.
Well, I know that you talk about a myriad of topics, and you've had a lot of phenomenal guests already on the podcast, LZ. But today's episode, you've got the one and only Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Yes, we do. Absolutely incredible conversation that we really start with the early days of his HIV/AIDS data collection back in 1981. All the way up until the conversations of today in terms of where are we in terms of an HIV vaccination and where are we in terms of an AIDS cure. So it's a conversation that really spans 40 years as best we possibly can. Some fantastic stories with him and Dr. Anthony Fauci, or Dr. Larry Kramer. And it really is very informative. And I can't stress enough, it's so important for people who happen to be Black to listen to this conversation because Dr. Fauci shares some really important information about the HIV infection rate in the Black community.
LZ, if I can, man, I want to take you back to something you just said in your response about the cashier at the grocery store who says those flowers, she's going to love them. And you put kind of the onus sometimes on yourself to live out loud and live without apology and correct that person. But there are a lot of people who are watching this who've made that error before, not maliciously, but have done so. What is your advice? What can you counsel folks who might just be in that mindset? And what would you say to those folks who hear that story and go, my goodness, I've done that. Or, oh, my goodness, what should I do? Should I just leave it alone? What do you counsel folks to do in a scenario like that?
Well, first of all, don't beat yourself up too much. You know, we live in a society in which heterosexuality and cisgenderness, if you will, are the expected norms. They're the presumed norms. And so we've all been indoctrinated to believe that everyone is like this or everyone is like that. So don't beat yourself up too much. However, I will say, if you are listening to this and you have now become aware of this dynamic, if you know better, do better. Because the more society recognizes that there's intersectionality and diversity and inclusion is how America is actually at its strongest, then you want to create scenarios where everyone can feel included, where everyone can feel that intersectionality isn't an oddity, but just an everyday factor of their lives, just like the color of their hair or their eyes. So don't beat yourself up too much, but now that you know better, do better.
And simple as that, plain as put. LZ, love you, brother. It's good to see you, man. It's been a while. Haven't talked to you. It seems like I talk to you more on TV than I do on the phone and and via text, and that's your fault. I'm gonna put it on you.
Wow. Well, I was going to blame the Rona, so keeping us apart. But now that, we're able to move around a lot more, I think you should be buying me a drink soon.
Yes, I will. LZ, man, it's always good to talk to you. And yes, we will get up real soon, my man. But I want folks to know, Life Out Loud with LZ Granderson. You can get it wherever your podcasts are. LZ, good to see you, my man. We'll see you down the road.
Thank you, guys.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.